Hello everyone and welcome back to my Horus Heresy Istvaan series. This is episode 4, the video that was never really meant to exist. When I started this project back in March of 2025, the concept was a simple one. 3 build videos, 1 finale, job done. But now it's mid-November and I'm still knee-deep in models, paint pots and foam with no real end in sight. If you haven't seen the previous videos, I would strongly advise you to go and watch them now. They bring you up to speed to the scale and size of this project, from the boards, the armies, the painting and the work done so far. Which brings us here, to episode 4. Where are we? Well, the Iron Hands still need major work. The Raven Guard need finishing, the primarchs and characters, some aren't even started. The board is still half done, and I've got a few legions left on the legionometer, plus some incredible contributions from the other creators I want to showcase today. This is the video where I need to roll up my sleeves and get stuck in and drag this project over the finish line. Will it be perfect? No. Will it match the vision I had back in March? Probably not, but it will get finished. My name is Oliver, and this is Broadsword Wargaming. First up on the list, the primarchs, the heart of Istvaan V. They drive the story in the lore and they'll be centre stage here too. You've seen some of these in earlier episodes, but I was not able to get hold of all of them at the time, which means now, here, there's actually more work on my plate than before, so not a great start. Corax, Ferrus Manus, Vulcan, and now Perturaba and Mortarion. Corax and Ferrus are already a fair way along, but the others still need serious attention, and by that I mean assembling. I don't want to rush these, they're expensive models, once in a lifetime models, and I'll probably never paint them again, so I do want to do them justice. But with that comes pressure. I see things on Instagram, I look at other painters, and it's really hard not to compare yourself. I mean, I think I'm a decent standard painter, but I'm by no means an award-winning one, and sometimes that thought holds me back. So today's session is about breaking through that. Faces, skin, tiny details, the parts that bring these characters to life. That is where my focus is, not perfection, but doing the best I can and moving forward. Having recently put together a How to Paint Every Legion video, I came up with a few ideas to bring the additional primarchs up to the same standard. The techniques and colours from that project proved to be really useful here. I spent quite a bit of time making sure every component was properly prepared and base coated, and once all the colours were down, I assembled Corax and Ferrus in their final poses. After a solid painting session, I decided to leave the primarchs for the moment and continue some work at home. The next day, I returned back ready to showcase more legions and finally gather all 11 together. Alright, so I have just had this monstrous box turn up. Having cracked it open, it's from Elston, and this is the Iron Warriors and some additional Night Lords to really fill out the board. So it's kind of like Christmas, let's crack it open and see what we've got. Let's talk about Elston. You remember his Adeptus Mechanicus force from episode 2. Well, he's gone above and beyond again. Originally, the Iron Warriors were going to be done by my friend and co-host of the Side Quest podcast, Benji from Benji's Hobbies. But just like me, life caught up with him. He and his partner welcomed their second baby, which means, understandably, zero time for hobbying. So in stepped Elston. As it turns out, he just happened to have a massive Iron Warriors army sitting around, and he generously offered to send it over. This really is a massive, huge force, and honestly, it's not even half of what he owns. They look incredible, with the brutal Iron Warriors aesthetic nailed perfectly. Hazard stripes everywhere, dark metallics, and just the right amount of grim. But that's not all. Elston also sent across a force of Night Lords, including Sevatar and his charmingly murderous crew to reinforce the Night Lords I'd already received a few months back. Kira has painted Comrade Kurz for the project, and since Kurz plays such an important role in the Istvaan story, it felt right to expand the force with more of his legions. The paint jobs are fantastic, and they've given me ideas for a potential side project down the line if I've got the energy to take it on after this monster of a series. Make sure you check out Elston's own video in the Istvaan playlist. And for now, that's another legion ticked off the legionometer. Progress. If you're into Warhammer or just love tactical turn-based battles, then why not take a look at this video's sponsor? Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector is a fast-paced strategy game set in the grimdark future of the 41st millennium. You can command the noble Blood Angels or swarm the battlefield as the Tyranids. There's a full 20 mission campaign set after the devastation of Baal, plus skirmish mode where you can build your army, pick your enemies and choose from different mission types. For something deeper, Planetary Supremacy mode gives you a procedurally generated campaign map to conquer one battle at a time. They've also added new features like Demonic Incursion, which is a free survival mode against endless Khorne demons. And you've got Crusade mode, where you start with a basic army and level up your troops through escalating fights. If you're after more story, then the new Deeds of the Fallen DLC features the Sisters of Battle in a brutal war against the Orcs. Multiplayer is here too. Online, hot seat and asynchronous. However you want to play, it's got you covered. If you're curious, well, now's a great time to try it. Use the code Broadsword25 for 25% off the base game on Slitherine.com. Not Steam, Slitherine.com. Link is in the description. It's time to face the part of this project I'm farthest from completing, the Iron Hands. Back in earlier episodes, I got the base coats down, I worked out a scheme and even added some metallics, but something never sat quite right. The problem with this sort of flip paint scheme is that it's incredibly hard to shade and highlight. You can't treat it like a normal paint job, which left me stuck in a bit of decision paralysis. They're looking good, but I don't know what to do. Fortunately, and a little unexpectedly, some help arrived.
Would you believe it? You're back.
Yes. Yeah.
6 months ago, the start of March, it's now September, you were here helping me at the very beginning of this road to Istvaan journey, and it makes sense that it's come full circle and you're now here for what should be the end. This is the problem.
I was hoping that if I came back later, it'll be done. But instead, you've gracefully saved these for me.
I lured you over with the idea of playing on the big Istvaan board, which is still yet to be finished, along with the Raven Guard, the primarchs, and all the other armies that's still yet to be done, and the Iron Hands. For me, this is the big sticking point. I'm at a loss, really, with these. They're not done, are they, really?
I love the base colours.
Yeah, they're base coated, and that's as far as it goes. So I need some help.
You need to break the back of them.
Joseph, I need to classic broadsword break the back of an army, and that's what needs to happen here.
To kick things off, we decided to push the silvers brighter. The Iron Hands are a dark, pragmatic, no-frills legion. Silver is one of the only places where you can add a bit of contrast or colour, so it was a good excuse to try out the AK Interactive paint pens. I was looking for speed, and they worked surprisingly well. One coat generally did the job. But you do need to be careful, tidy up mistakes, and keep control of overflow. Still, it really was a quick process, which is exactly what I needed. While Joe carried on with the silver, I went in with a light spray of Luxion purple into the recesses. This was partly to add some visual interest as a nod back to the original Forge World oil slick effect, and partly to break up the green tones of the flip paint. At certain angles, the models now shimmer and catch the light beautifully, though from others they still lean towards a metallic green. I was looking to get rid of that. We spent a good afternoon painting in a sort of batch style chain line. Once the airbrushing was done, I went back in with flip paint and black to tidy overspill from the pens. I wasn't sure how well the colour shift paint would handle brushwork, but by mixing in the right amount of black for shadows, it blended really smoothly. It even gave me a chance to highlight and smooth out areas that needed extra definition. Next came blacking out key sections like shields on the Immortals and layering in the darker metallics for bolters and weapon cases. We took the time to add a few extra details like metal faceplates and some armour trim to help break up the base colour a little bit more. I think that once the transfers and bits are applied, these are going to look fantastic. I do at this point slightly regret not sticking to the more standard scheme since it is a lot quicker, but in the end I think this approach will be worth it. It's an army I can keep forever and one that hopefully I can be proud of. By the end of a full day of hobbying, we had made some significant progress. With all of the weapons and accessories glued on, the Iron Hands were finally in a usable state. We even squeezed in a small game of Horus Heresy. It's my first since the new edition released months ago, which gave me a real morale boost.
It's the end of 2 relatively decent sessions, I think, in painting. You're only here for a short trip, and we did actually want to do something this time, not just paint forever. So we had a few beers last night, which has made today a little shorter than intended, but some good progress done. And I think you've helped me push through the sort of decision paralysis on what to do with this scheme, right?
I just did it.
Yeah.
Ask you.
You just did it. So now they have whatever silver we used. We used the AK pens, were quite fun. The Iron Hand symbols are done everywhere. This big fat majority of tactical and Terminators here are a long way through.
They're as good as done.
Yeah, it's still a fair bit to do, but yeah, everything here feels finishable now, which is nice for me. So I think transfers, some silver highlights, some faces and bear heads and stuff need to go in. So there's all the fiddly details, but yeah, the core is done, so I'm very grateful for that. One thing we didn't get around to was the tanks, right?
Yeah, I think it was just too much. But tanks, you just got to put some transfers on, stick some weathering on, sponge, done. There's not a lot to do on tanks, really, is it?
After Joe flew home, I carried on while the momentum was still there. One obvious gap was the heads on all the Gorgons, which I'd left off because I wasn't sure what colour to paint them. After adding a few symbols to the models, I realised the veterans need a splash of colour, so I settled on white. Using the airbrush in a sort of angled zenithal gave a strong effect. These models rely heavily on shadows and contrast, so tying the heads in with darker recesses, almost black in places, really worked. The difference was immediate. With the heads glued in, the army felt far more complete. The thin wash of Nuln oil over the white added just the right amount of grit and grimness. They'll need cleanup and highlights, but another week of steady sessions should finally get the infantry across the line. The only real gap now are the tanks, which haven't had much attention yet, but that's something I'll probably tackle later in another video, maybe? I don't know, the Iron Hands have come a long way in a short time, and honestly, sometimes an extra pair of hands and some fresh eyes make all the difference. Joe wasn't weighed down by the months of work this project has taken, even though he was involved a few months ago, and his enthusiasm really helped me push things forward. If I can manage another couple of days on these, get the transfers on and get them based, I'm pretty sure I could call them done. So I'll leave it there. The next and final time you see these, they should be much further along, and I'll hopefully show you the process of finishing them all. One more video, one more push. Up next, it's time to tick off the last few legions. This time, my other brother Ben has sent over his Emperor's Children and a small detachment of Sons of Horus. I've seen these models many times over the years and they never fail to impress. A bit of repair work here and there and behold. The pink on the Emperor's Children is stunning, it just pops. As the main villains of this story, they're going to look incredible against the black sands of Istvaan. The collection has a little bit of everything: classic resin kits, the newer plastic Mark VI Marines, tanks, custom conversions, characters, noise Marines, and a full 20 Phoenix Guard Terminators ready to clash with my 20 Gorgons. Add in their characters and primarchs, and we're set for a proper showdown. The Sons of Horus are a smaller part of the battle, but they are still there. Abaddon and his friends cutting down loyalists with abandon. Their distinctive green makes them stand out nicely alongside the others. Part of the reason I chose Istvaan V for this project was because I know I had access to armies like these. Between my two brothers alone, we had 3 out of the 4 traitor legions covered, and they all look fantastic. If you like Ben's work and want to see more, or even get your own army commission painted, make sure to check out his page and website. I'll leave the details below. I'll get these based up and you'll see them all in the final video standing on the completed Istvaan board, ready to face off against Ferris and the Iron Hands. They are really going to pop, just as the Emperor's Children should. Ben has done a fantastic job, and I'm grateful he's left them with me for as long as he has. Now, if only I could find a way to keep them forever. With these legions added to the tally, that brings us to 9 out of 11 complete. You've seen the Primarchs, you've seen the Iron Hands, that just leaves the Raven Guard for an update. The Raven Guard, the sneaky silent legion. They are one of my favourites, but also one of the hardest to make visually interesting. These guys have had a lot of work done since you last saw them in full close-up glory, so here are some more shots. The problem I'm facing now is that everything sits at different stages of completion. What I'd really like to do is bring the whole force up to the same level, which would put me in a great position to finally finish everything. Some models are almost done, while others still need a bit more love. Getting this whole project over the line would feel incredible. These minis have been hanging around for a long time. I'm still really happy with the scheme I showed in earlier videos, but everything just takes time. If I'd focused on one unit at a time, one army at a time, they'd probably all be finished by now, but let's face it, that wouldn't make for very visually interesting videos. I honestly don't know what happened to this project, or how many times you want to see me edge highlight something, so I'll spare you that. One thing I can't wait for is to have a fully painted, modern, clean army I can be proud of. These will absolutely do that. This is an army I will never get rid of. Too much heart, soul, and time has gone into this. I'll leave you on that note. With moving house, spending so much time in the store, and with the new, well, less new now I suppose, baby, everything has just piled up a bit. But here's the plan. I'm going to give you one final Istvaan video where I finish everything off and get the whole force on the board. That is going to be the money shot, the whole point of this campaign. So thank you all for sticking with me through this journey. I promise you I'm going to see it through to the very end. One more video.